British Columbia. Mysterious places. British Columbia Penitentiary. Haunted stories and phenomena. Aggressive energies. Paranormal investigators and visitors report an overwhelming feeling of being watched, a funny energy, pressing against their backs, and a general sense of unease or the need to protect oneself. The spirits are believed to be a very violent bunch of former inmates. Gatehouse apparitions and EVPs. The historic gatehouse, one of the few remaining structures, is a focal point for activity. Investigators have recorded multiple electronic voice phenomena, EVPs, including voices of adult males, and have seen full-bodied apparitions of men. The basement, which once held holding cells, is particularly active. The inmate cemetery. Boot Hill. The prison had a cemetery on its grounds, known as Boot Hill, for inmates who died there, many from tuberculosis or suicide. After the prison was torn down and soil eroded, some caskets and headstones reportedly began poking out of the ground. This area is believed to be haunted by the souls of these forgotten prisoners. Specific inmate stories. One notable historical execution was that of Joseph Smith in 1913, who killed a guard during an escape attempt. Stories from those who worked at the prison often mention the infamous solitary confinement area, known as the discomfort room, where lights were never turned off, and the general brutality of the facility, contributing to the belief that the site is haunted. Auditory phenomena. Visitors and former staff have reported hearing disembodied footsteps in empty hallways and other unexplained noises. The former penitentiary was active for 102 years, until decommissioned during the 1980s. Little of the building's remnants are left, save for the Boot Hill graveyard, where up to 62 inmates are buried in numbered graves. Boot Hill graveyard was first used for burial in 1916. Craigdarroch Castle, Victoria. Yes, Craigdarroch Castle in Victoria, BC, is widely considered a haunted location, with many persistent rumors and reports of paranormal activity. While the museum itself does not officially acknowledge the hauntings, staff and visitors have reported numerous eerie occurrences over the years. Reported paranormal activity. Apparitions. The ghost of a woman in a ball gown, believed to be the castle's matriarch, Joan Dunsmuir, is often seen descending the main staircase. Another spectral image of a young girl, possibly a Dunsmuir daughter who died shortly after her father, has been reported in the basement, disappearing when approached. A maid's image and a military man have also reportedly been seen. Phantom sounds. Visitors and staff have heard disembodied whispers, the sounds of a child crying, and a piano playing from the dining room, even though there is no piano currently in the castle. Unexplained sensations. Cold spots form randomly. The scent of burning candles is often present without a source, and objects have been known to move on their own. Strange occurrences. In one instance, a staff member reported all lights and doors/windows on the lower level opening by themselves after having been secured. Another report mentioned adding machines on the top floor, running through full rolls of paper overnight, printing only zeros. What to expect. Haunted experiences. A woman in white seen in windows, dark shapes, shadowy figures. Sounds. Unexplained footsteps, soft voices, a piano playing, billiard balls rolling, or strange noises from adding machines. Objects moving, lights flickering, objects shifting, doors opening/closing unexpectedly. Atmosphere: a perfect, eerie setting with intricate woodwork, hidden passages, and grand rooms. Deadman's Island in Vancouver is widely considered one of North America's most haunted locations, with a history spanning centuries as a significant First Nations burial ground, a pioneer cemetery, and a smallpox quarantine site. This macabre past has given rise to numerous ghost stories and reports of paranormal activity, most of which are shared by the naval reservists, who are the only people with regular access to the off-limits island. Is a supposedly haunted island that experienced many deaths. The Skooksuwi Squamish people reported that both northern and southern nations had fought over the island, resulting in 200 deaths. After these deaths, the southern nations fled the island. In the 1890s it was used to house smallpox victims for quarantine. Victims of the Great Vancouver Fire of 1886 and Canadian Pacific Rail workers have also died on the island, and bright orbs of light have been reported in the forest, as well as the clattering of bones and shrieking of dead men. History of death and burial. The island's reputation stems from its extensive use as a final resting place. First Nations burial site. The indigenous Squamish people called the island Skutsa 7s, meaning island, and used it as a tree burial ground for millennia, placing their dead in cedar boxes in the boughs of trees. Massacre site. According to Squamish leader Chief Joe Capilano, the island was the site of a brutal massacre where 200 young warriors were slaughtered by a rival southern nation after being traded for hostages. The southern nation fled in terror the next morning after flaming fire flowers grew where the bodies had fallen. Pioneer cemetery and quarantine. Early settlers also used the island as a cemetery. Victims of the Great Vancouver Fire of 1886 and Canadian Pacific Railway workers were buried there. Between 1888 and 1892, it served as a quarantine site and burial ground for those who died during a smallpox epidemic. Hearing disembodied voices, footsteps, and the sound of furniture moving in unoccupied areas of buildings. Witnessing strange glows in the trees that form human shapes. Security guards on overnight duty experiencing unexplained events, such as doors opening and closing by themselves. An early 20th century police contingent guarding the island overnight reported hearing rattling of dead men's bones and shrieking skeletons. Hatley Castle in Hollywood. Hatley Castle, located in British Columbia, Canada, and a popular Hollywood filming location, is widely considered one of the province's most haunted landmarks, primarily associated with the ghosts of the original owners, the Dunsmuir family. Haunted stories and sightings. The hauntings are centered around the Dunsmuir family, who lived in the castle in the early 20th century. Laura Dunsmuir's ghost. The most prominent spirit is believed to be that of Laura Dunsmuir. Her youngest son, Jim, died when the RMS Lusitania was torpedoed during WWI, and his body was never recovered. Laura, heartbroken and hoping for his return, is said to still search for him. Searching the dorms when the castle served as a military college, cadets reported seeing the apparition of an old woman in their dormitories, staring at their faces as if looking for someone. Some even woke up to feel her hovering over them or pulling their blankets off. Wandering the grounds, her ghost has also reportedly been seen wandering the extensive gardens. James Dunsmuir's dirges. James Dunsmuir, the original owner, was consumed by grief after his son's death and would often play somber music in his study to mourn him. Visitors and staff have since reported hearing phantom music, specifically dirges, playing from an empty study. Unexplained noises. Staff and visitors often hear disembodied footsteps, doors and windows opening and closing on their own, and other strange noises. Cigar smoke. A strong smell of cigar smoke is sometimes sensed in the castle, though no one is smoking. The nanny's spirit. One visitor reported being followed home by the spirit of a nanny who worked, and died, at the castle, experiencing phenomena like a baby monitor turning on and making crying sounds while unplugged. Security guards stories. A spokesperson for Royal Roads University mentioned they have a member of their security team who loves to tell ghost stories and has had personal encounters. This same security member, identified as Sean, has been a featured part of the castle's ghostly tours, sharing his spooky experiences during the event. Author's experience. Ian Gibbs, the male author of Victoria's Most Haunted, described a personal encounter while exploring an upper floor of the castle, where he felt a strong presence of a woman who clearly didn't want him there. He described the feeling as like walking through quicksand, and took it as a cue to leave the area. Highcroft Manor. Highcroft Manor is widely considered one of Vancouver's most haunted locations, reportedly home to as many as 7 distinct ghosts. The paranormal activity is often linked to its history as a grand private residence and later, a military hospital. The reported hauntings. General Alexander Duncan McCrae, the original owner and builder of the manor, is often seen as an older man in a World War I officer's uniform. Mrs. Blanche McCrae, the general's wife, is believed to be the well-dressed lady apparition seen roaming the halls. The pranksters. 3 spirits of WWI-era veterans are known for playful antics like flickering lights and opening/closing doors, possibly a remnant from when the manor was a convalescent home. The head nurse, an apparition in a nurse's uniform, believed to be the head nurse during the hospital era, has also been cited. The crying man, the sound of loud, unexplained sobbing has been heard coming from a room on the lower floor. Janet Smith. Some legends associate the ghost of Janet Smith, a young nursemaid involved in a notorious unsolved murder in a nearby Shaughnessy mansion, with Highcroft Manor. Rumor suggests the high society McCraes might have been involved in the case, or that the body was moved after a party, leading to her spirit lingering at Highcroft. Paranormal activity. While staff members from the University Women's Club of Vancouver, which now owns the manor, describe the spirits as generally peaceful and protective of the house, unusual activity is frequently reported. Temperature changes and cold chills in certain rooms. Apparitions of figures walking the hallways, especially on the 3rd floor. Poltergeist-like activity during filming sessions, which the ghosts seem to disrupt with loud noises and moving objects. Spaghetti Factory. The Old Spaghetti Factory in the historic Gastown district of Vancouver is widely considered to be the city's most haunted restaurant, home to tales of as many as 4 resident ghosts. Paranormal activity is often reported by both staff and patrons, particularly after closing hours. The tram conductor, the most famous ghost, is believed to be a streetcar conductor who died tragically, though accounts vary on the exact circumstances. He is associated with the decommissioned 1904 streetcar, named Number 53, which is a prominent part of the restaurant's decor. Staff have reported seeing him sitting in the tram in his uniform after hours and have taken photos that allegedly show his ghostly figure. Edward, the young boy, a mischievous ghost, often described as having blonde hair and wearing blue overalls, is frequently seen running around the restaurant, especially in the back dining area. He is known for playing pranks, such as bending cutlery into a pile on the tables, moving chairs, and calling out staff members' names. His antics have reportedly spooked some new employees into quitting on their very first shift. The little girl, another spirit, is that of a young girl who appears at a table near the front window, often holding a balloon. A friend of the general manager once reportedly had a long conversation with her during which she said she was looking for her mother, only to vanish when someone else approached the table. The Little Red Man, a fourth ghost, is sometimes reported as a red-haired man who surprises women in the ladies' washroom. One visiting psychic claimed that the high concentration of spirits is due to a vortex, or a portal between realms, located at the back of the restaurant, as well as the spirit's attachment to the historical artifacts used in the decor. Gastown itself, being Vancouver's oldest neighborhood and the site of the Great Fire, has a history of gruesome events, which some believe contributes to the area's overall paranormal activity. People report strange occurrences, from seeing apparitions to feeling unseen presences. The hauntings are a key part of the restaurant's unique charm, attracting paranormal enthusiasts and curious diners. Tranquil Sanatorium, Kamloops. Tranquil Sanatorium near Kamloops, BC, is famous for its haunting tales stemming from its use as a tuberculosis hospital, 1907 to 1958, and psychiatric facility, with reports including ghostly moans, shadowy figures, unexplained noises like whispers, screams, and phantom apparitions, particularly around its abandoned buildings where many suffered and died, making it a hotspot for paranormal investigators. Origins: built in 1907 to treat TB, it saw immense suffering, and after its TB closure, became a psychiatric hospital until 1983, accumulating decades of tragedy. Common encounters: visitors and investigators report disembodied voices, shadowy figures, cold spots, phantom footsteps, and feelings of being watched. Specific ghostly tales: legends speak of nurses, patients, and even a former doctor with a dark past, often tied to the nurses' ward or isolation rooms where patients were left to die. Paranormal hotspots: the old administration buildings, patient wards, especially the women's section, and the cemetery are frequent sites for strange activity, including EVPs, electronic voice phenomena. Visitor experiences: the site, known as Tranquil Farm Fresh, has operated seasonal events and tours in the past, leveraging its spooky atmosphere. Past tours and events: in previous years, the site offered heritage tours and an immersive, theatrical play in the tunnels, with characters based on former residents. For Halloween, a creepy Escape from Padova escape room was offered in the tunnels. Current status: the farm and site are currently closed to visitors. The buildings are in disrepair and access is restricted. The property is private, and trespassing is not permitted. Future plans are in development to redevelop the area into a community called Tranquil on the Lake, which means the historical buildings may not be standing for much longer. A system of underground tunnels connecting the buildings, originally used for transporting food and laundry, is also a source of many eerie reports of lonely voices and cries. Specific sightings include a mother crying on the upper floors, children's voices in the former ward, and a spectral nurse who was allegedly murdered by a patient. The spirit of a former patient, Margaret Schilling, is said to be seen staring from a window of the room where her body was found, leaving a permanent stain on the floor. Vogue Theatre in Vancouver. The Vogue Theatre in Vancouver is known for its resident ghost, a stern, dark-haired man seen haunting the stage. Catwalks, projection booth, and basement hall, sometimes causing bangs or slamming doors. Staff and visitors report disembodied footsteps, cold spots, and shadows, with mediums sensing a tragic accident occurred near the fly gallery, possibly involving a former worker or manager. The narrow basement corridor, nicknamed the Haunted Highway, is a hotspot for these unexplained occurrences. The stern man most frequently seen as a 3D shadow or figure with dark hair and chiseled features, appearing in backstage areas like the catwalks and projection booth, and near the stage. Basement hallway, Haunted Highway, reports include shadow figures passing, doors slamming, and distinct banging sounds. Audience level. The spirit has also been seen among the audience near the stage. Apparition details. One employee glimpsed a clear face in the projection booth window before the figure vanished, while mediums felt a past severe injury or death occurred in the fly gallery area. The stern man most frequently seen as a 3D shadow or figure with dark hair and chiseled features, appearing in backstage areas like the catwalks and projection booth, and near the stage. Basement hallway, Haunted Highway, reports include shadow figures passing, doors slamming, and distinct banging sounds. Audience level. The spirit has also been seen among the audience near the stage. Apparition details. One employee glimpsed a clear face in the projection booth window before the figure vanished, while mediums felt a past severe injury or death occurred in the fly gallery area. Bill Allman, a former house/general manager, 1994 to 1997, frequently encountered the spirit, describing it as a shadow. Employee citing: an employee once saw the man's face clearly in the projection booth before the figure vanished. Psychic mediums. In 2000, mediums sensed a severe accident occurred near the fly gallery, possibly involving fatalities or serious injuries. The Waterfront Station. Vancouver's Waterfront Station is famous for hauntings, primarily the headless railway worker Hub Clark. Killed in 1928 and seen on rainy nights with a lantern, plus apparitions of 1920s flapper women, old ladies on benches, and phantom footsteps, with security guards reporting poltergeist activity, making it one of the city's most paranormally active spots. Hub Clark, the headless brakeman, a railway worker who slipped on wet tracks, was knocked unconscious and decapitated by a train in 1928. Sightings: a headless figure with a glowing lantern is reportedly seen near the tracks on rainy nights. The Flapper Ghost, a woman in 1920s attire seen dancing and heard playing music in the corridors. The old women ghosts of three elderly ladies have been seen sitting on a bench, often described as mournful. Poltergeist activity, desks moving on their own, phantom footsteps, and other unexplained noises are common, especially on the east side of the building. Historic location is the third West Coast terminus for the Canadian Pacific Railway. The station has a long, busy history, making it a prime spot for lingering spirits. Tragic accidents, the death of Hub Clark and other potential past tragedies contribute to the eerie atmosphere. Hub Clark, the headless brakeman, the most famous ghost, a railway worker who slipped, was knocked unconscious, and killed by a train, reportedly decapitating him. He's seen on rainy nights with a glowing lantern near the tracks. The three old ladies, ghosts of elderly women said to be waiting for a train that never comes, adding to the station's eerie atmosphere. Ghost Tours Haunted Canada podcast and other local groups feature the station, with tours often highlighting these tales. Regular sightings, guards and staff have reported frequent apparitions, making it a truly active paranormal site, especially avoided at night by some. Which of these haunted places did you find the scariest? Tell us by commenting. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.